In my previous videos, I played CK3 with my own mods. But how did I actually make them? How much time does it take to make one? What are the difficulties with modding CK3? In today's video, I'm going to make the Sopranos mod for CK3 and answer those questions. Let's go! Start the timer. Okay, we have a blank project. No characters, no titles, no dynasties, nothing. Where do we start? Because The Sopranos and After the End is a mod about characters in the first place, we need to have a list of all the characters I'm going to add to the game. Thank God the fandom wiki exists. I brought up a list of all characters in The Sopranos and started to pick the ones that are either important or interesting in any way. One thing about some characters is the lack of information about their family tree. For example, we know that Phil Leotardo is a cousin of Vito Sparafor's wife, but we do not know the exact ancestry to define through which family members they are related. So, some improvisation was needed on my part. Some characters in this mod have never existed or have never been mentioned in The Sopranos. They are my creations, necessary to connect parts of family trees because, after all, CK3 is a dynasty-making game and I love to add details to these trees. This, for example, is the great-great-granduncle of Tony Soprano, who infamously passed out while driving a donkey cart, crushing a full load of olive oil. Does he have any significance in the gameplay? No, but I think it's a nice Easter egg. After some time, the list of characters was done. Okay, let's move on. Now that we have a list of characters we will add to the game, we can actually start adding them. I already showed some of the things that we define when creating a character in my Breaking Bad in After the End video. But let's see what the full character creation code looks like. Let's take Tony Soprano. Here we define his name, a DNA, which is a link to a code that will define his looks, the dynasty he belongs to, his religion, his culture, his sexuality, his parents, his traits, his date of birth, his date of death, and some other stuff that varies from character to character, like spouses, friends, body weight, secrets, lovers, employers, and other things. But when I create characters, I don't define all of this at once. I start with the basics: birth, relations, cultures, religions, and I add other stuff later. So I started to just add characters. Well, it took some time. The final list had 320 characters from 77 dynasties, and for some important characters I needed to add information about spouses and traits. Okay, let's proceed. You may have noticed that I already added some new cultures and religions to my characters. Now it's time to add them to the game itself. Let's start with culture. My logic was that the characters who are involved with
this thing of ours
are of Italian descent, but they have their own culture that was created when they got to America. So I created the Italo-Americani culture, a merge between Italian and local Gotham. But this culture is still very Italian-based and has traditions like Republican legacy and culinary art. And what about religion, known as Gabagool?
Gabagool. Over here.
Gabagool
Over here.
is a code name for the new Catholic religion called This Thing of Ours. Because, you know, Italo-Americani are still pretty Catholic, but I needed to add some rules that would represent their lifestyle. I also gave them a unique religion icon. Okay. We now have characters, their cultures and religions. Now it's time to give them territories to control. Though not many characters control something, I still spent some time doing it right because we needed some hierarchy. I decided to give titles according to each character's position in the family at the start of the series. So we have Jackie Aprile, who controls North Jersey, and some captains as his vassals, Junior and Tony among them. But as you remember, the Jersey family isn't the only one in the universe of The Sopranos. There are also the famous 5 families, also known as the Commission, created by Charlie Lucky Luciano. Among them are Carmine Lupitazzi with his son Brainless II, Johnny Sack, and Phil
20 years in the can.
Leotardo as his vassal.
I jacked off in a grilled cheese. I wanted to fuck the radiator instead. I compromised. I fucked Monica.
The other 4 families don't get a lot of attention in The Sopranos, but I added them nonetheless. All these families are members of the 5 Families Confederation. After I gave the holders their territories, I needed to add relations between characters and also decide where the unlanded characters would go. So, for example, Polly, Pussy and Silvio are in Tony's court, and they are also his friends. I also decided to add some flavor for those who are going to play this mode, like new title holder names, and there is also a decision for Italo-Americani culture that allows you to restore the boss of all bosses rule from the old days of Mazzaria and Maranzano before Luciano created the commission. Oh, sorry. I just I forgot what grass looks like. And never mind. The main part of the mod is done, but we still have something important that needs to be done, or the mod wouldn't be as entertaining. Because this doesn't look like Tony Soprano to me. The next part is to define the characters' beards, hairstyles, and then their faces. Let's start with the first one. For this, I create a new file and copy the hairstyles from the game. And I do all this for almost every character. Okay, we are almost done. The last thing left to do is to create faces for our characters. It's been 30 hours already, and this is the last thing left to do. Of course, I wouldn't do this for every character, because I have 320 of them. I chose some of those memorable ones. Well, let's go. Finally, the mod is done. You can check it out on Steam. So that's it for today's lesson. Any questions?
Yeah. What took you so long?